Yo, you guys, this is Blacklist of the Abyss, and this is my review for Kill Not Kill, Episode 4. Now, this one was a fun episode. I'm not going to summarize everything, because that would make this, like a half an hour video, and I don't want a repeat of Strike the Blood. But this one starts off with Mako waking up in the middle of the night, 4 a.m., and she's going crazy. Riko has no clue what's going on, but they know that it's some special day and they need to leave then. Senketsu is being washed, so Riko has to leave without him. And we learn that apparently she's the only one that can hear Senketsu. So that's an interesting fact. So whenever Riko talks to him, she just looks like some psycho. She looks like Bambi at a Bastard Bean, pretty much. Um, and Mako, she's listening to her talk to him and like refer to him by name, and she's like, "Wait, you name your uniform? You must be pretty lonely, huh? Guess we better go to school quick so you can make some friends." But they end up leaving. They die. They dive into the pool of students, and water actually splashes up. And Iragamagori shows up, and he ends up explaining No Late Day, and how pretty much what it's this way for them to just screw around with the no star students. They have to go through all these traps for like 4.5 hours or maybe 3 hours, somewhere in between there, depending on how long it took them to actually get up and get there. um, and they have to go through all these traps to get to school by 8:30, and if they don't make it, then they're expelled on the spot. So also, just a fun fact, I guess, Gamagori sleeps in the nude. And there's this one girl in the crowd who blushes when he says that, so that was a little funny. But he ends up just telling Ryuko, like, all right, if you think you can make it through all these traps without your Kamui, then go ahead and try it. But he has this barrier thing show up, and of course there are drills on it. Of course there are drills on it. There's like a bunch of skeletons from, I guess, the last time they used it, and there are like tigers there too and everything. And they start with the whole day, I guess. There are a bunch of traps, and there's there's this one kid. When they start, they always start running up the ramp, but and then you can see this one kid like eating ramen as he runs. Like, clearly this kid's cocky or something. He thinks he can do this while eating ramen. The kid's clearly got confidence, but after they make it to the first checkpoint, Riko and Mako, that is, we meet, we meet Maiko, and she's incredibly suspicious. Incredibly suspicious. I mean, she's like walking like with her head down, like her face has a bunch of shadow, and she bumps into Ryuko, and she and she flops like completely. Like, she takes a page out of Chris Bosch's book. Like, she just flops and falls on the ground and starts acting like she's injured and stuff. And she says, "Oh, I injured my arm in one of the traps," and blah blah blah. And Ryuko and Mako end up taking her with them. Uh, we see Mako and Mataro's dad, along with Mataro and Guts and Senketsu. They're driving to try to catch up to Ryuko. Maiko falls and pulls her pajama bottoms down. Everyone stops to look at her, and they crash. so, so Mako and Mataro's dad gets taken out, and the same thing ends up happening to Mataro later on. So again, some suspicious activity on Maiko's part, but they continue through all the traps without Senketsu. They make they make it through a bunch of traps, but the ones they don't make it through are because Maiko gets Ryuko caught in the traps. Again, suspicious. Like the one where her arm just suddenly started to hurt, and Ryuko ended up falling into the water because of her. Clearly this girl is incredibly suspicious. They make it to another checkpoint. Somehow they make it to another checkpoint with Maiko by their side. They see this one star uniform bus going through this minefield. They hijack it. and Maiko's arm suddenly gets all better, and she can drive with it. She starts shifting gears with her hurt arm. Again, this girl's clearly suspicious. She's lying about her injury. And she says that she herself has permission from Satsuki to drive. Why would Satsuki give permission to drive to a no-star fodder student? Like, again, clearly this girl is suspicious. So they're dri- she takes it. Clearly she has experience driving too, because she's doing relatively well with it, I guess. They drive through this one-star condo neighborhood. We see these old ladies, they start shooting at them, these men start shooting at them. This woman who's breastfeeding her kid starts shooting at them. Everyone's shooting at them, and eventually they make it through that, and they go up through the air and into the two-star neighborhood, past the two-star neighborhood, and they land in front of the school. And thinking, oh, hey, we made it, with a few minutes, like I think 30 minutes to spare, something like that. And that's when Maiko makes her move. Gut shows up to give Senketsu to Ryuko, but she pulls another. She, she pulls another one of her tricks. She pulls Ryuko's pants down again. This time, Guts has the nosebleed. Then she kicks Guts in the face. Dang. She kicks Guts in the face and then takes Senketsu. Then she admits that her real identity is she's a member of the disciplinary committee and she's the one who develops all the traps. Apparently her goal in taking Senketsu is that she eventually wants to dethrone Satsuki. This chick is clearly insane. Clearly insane. Satsuki doesn't have power just because she's awesome. I mean, don't get me wrong, she is awesome. She's probably my favorite character in the series. She's awesome. But it's not just because she's awesome that she has the power. She also has power because of the position of her mother being the chairman of the board, or I guess the chairwoman of the board in this case. So even if she did somehow manage to defeat Sasuke, which wouldn't happen, it still wouldn't mean anything because Satsuki's mom would just come in, expel her on the spot, take the Kamui away. Then guess what? Now the Kiryuins have both Kamui. So that plan would just fail and backfire in her face. But I do have to admit though that I have to give her a little bit of credit because when she transforms with Senketsu, she doesn't lose control. Last episode or the episode before, we see that they're trying to develop 5-star Goku uniforms with 50% life fibers, and the guy just loses control and goes berserk. So for her to put on a Kamui, which is 100% life fiber, which is pretty much a 10-star Goku uniform, and she doesn't lose control, that's impressive. So I have to, as much as I don't want to, I have to actually give her credit for that. She goes to try and beat up Ryuko, and she freezes up. Senketsu freezes up. According to Ryuko, it's because they used too much starch when they washed him, but whatever gets the job done, I guess. Ryuko ends up taking advantage of that to take down Maiko. They run off to school. Turns out it's a fake school that Maiko created. The platform has wheels and stuff, and then they start falling all the way down the island, swirling around, and they get taken all the way to the sea. Maiko ends up abandoning ship way before they get to the sea, but they get to the sea. Ryuko ends up putting on Senketsu, activating life fiber synchronization, and they get into one of those cart things, and they start heading off the school. And the problem with that is that Gamaguri, he said that was banned. That was one of the few rules they actually had, that the no-star students couldn't use those. So Gamaguri might, come back soon and give him some punishment of some sort. Or maybe not Gamaguri, maybe just the foreign leads of student council in general. because we see in the preview, number one, that guy from the opening, where like, well, you can look you can look for yourself, but we see this. There's this guy in the opening who's like standing there with his arms crossed, and he's like turned to the side and stuff. In one of the parts of the opening, we see him. He shows up next episode. Plus, Nonon, we get to see her using some of her powers in the preview. So it looks like she's going to have this little maybe a little mini fight with Ryuko or someone. So maybe that's the has to do with the punishment that she's getting for disobeying the rules of no late day. Who knows? But they end up making it to school in time. Gamagori ends up catching up with Maiko and expelling her. So good, good for me, I guess, because I didn't care for her at all. Now I can forget about her, pretend like she never existed. But the episode ends with Ryuko and Mako come crashing into the classroom, and Ikuru Mikisuki, he's just like, he just calls out her name, and Ryuko, like after all that, she's just like, here. So that I found that kind of funny, just their lax reactions. But that's it for the episode. Just a fun episode, comedy throughout. Now I'll give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was a pretty good episode. Next episode plot comes back, so that should be good. And really, that's it for now. So this episode of Kill la Kill, like I said, was pretty good. So I'll give it an 8 out of 10. That's it. So rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.